Welcome back. We've been discussing the virtues of faith, hope, and charity. And I'm certain many of you may be thinking to yourselves, all these sound like great utopian concepts, but who really practices these virtues? So I thought it would be best to illustrate these virtues by way of living examples. And so we have the pleasure of the company of Anurupa George. She's a young mother based in Canada, and she works in an IT firm. She's a strong, courageous, dynamic young lady who lives her life with a lot of grace and dignity. And she's been gracious enough to share her story. And I'm certain that she will inspire many by way of her own life example. Actually, when I wanted to interview Anurupa, I wasn't certain whether to illustrate her life story, to show the virtue of faith or hope. But as we spoke, I realized that she exemplifies the virtue of hope more than any other virtue. So without further ado, welcome Anurupa. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, so I wanted to just begin by asking you if you could share a little bit about your background, your parents, your upbringing, and certain impressions that were made in your childhood, which perhaps prepared you for what was to come later in life. So if you can just share that.
So I come from a town, very small town, or you can call it as a village, based in like Malappuram district. So I have basically a middle class upbringing where my both of my parents are like teachers who were like doing the job in the government schools, and I had like I come from a very secular society. Like you had neighbors and friends from all kind of religions and all kind of backgrounds. So and basically I come from a working family where like both of my father and mother was working. Even my grandmother, she was there, and everyone was working, and everyone has like kind of a busy life with their job, as well as they all had a kind of a social extension towards it as well. So like my parents were like available for us in the family, but they were always doing some kind of activity socially as well. So those kind of upbringing was like making us naturally empathetic towards a lot of stuff around us. And even as I come from a small village, like even I had my friends who were like really struggled to study. Like they were doing the newspaper work in the morning, then do the work and come to the school. So I was able to see like really the difficulties in the life as well, and different possibilities where like we can help others as well. And also taking help, it's not in the one way but in the other way, right? You can be a receiver as well as you can receive help and you can give help. So it was like a very empathetic society with a lot of warmth and love.
Okay. So I'm curious, you mentioned that you are from a small town in Kerala. So how did this small town girl land up in Canada?
In a one word, like it's all related to my job. My job put me in different parts of India as well as in the world. So basically, I completed my +2 studies in my town, and then I moved to do my engineering. Like I wrote my entrance, and then I get into a college called TKM, which is in Kollam district. So it's a little bit far away from my home. And then I got placed in a company called TCS. Then I worked there some time in Chennai, Kochi, and then from Kochi they asked me to move to Florida. So it was like an on-site opportunity which came in, and I took it. So that kept me in US. And later, like because of the immigration issues and visa issues, like still stays there. We thought like, okay, let's move to Canada to have a better stability with regards to immigration. So that's how I came here.
Okay. Anurupa, can you just share with the viewers a little bit about the loss that you suffered in your life at a very young age? So
I lost my husband in 2019 April, and it was like due to a sudden cardiac arrest. It was like totally unexpected happening, and that was in the week like where we decided to move to Canada, and we were like really packing up stuff. And he had a shortness of breath, and then we were in US, and we called in 911, and later, like in ICU, he passed away. And all those incident happened within like few hours. So it was like he just left in the morning, and by 10 a.m., yeah, he died. And from that point itself, it was the toughest moments of my life. First of all, there were like a lot of things to digest, and you are like frozen, and you can't, yeah, you can't process. You didn't have any time to process the thing, right? Because he didn't have any disease, or like he was not sick. So there, it was all happening in the moment. And but I had a lot of friends and families to be around, like my colleagues and all. But my kids were very small. My daughter was like not even 2, and my son was 3. So really, I needed a lot of help, at least like to do the basics. So I have a close family of my husband who really helped us, and my cousin as well, and my colleagues. So there were like 3 4 days we were stayed in US, and rest I dispersed everything, and I moved to India, and we had the funeral in India. So all those process, everything was new to me, like getting the clearance. And I just saw all these in some links in FB, like someone passed away in US. And but when it hit really into my life, I know how helpless I was. Like you can't, yeah, you. I was just thinking like my husband would be coming in the evening. He just went to ER because of maybe his childhood asthma or something. And when you come back, the person is not there. And so, and from there on, like it was like a difficult journey, at least for few months. And the lows was so intense that there was a lot kind of anger in the initial days to myself, or like maybe like the person who goes to the grief is like something, always the thought is like, could we have avoided this, right? I mean, like what would have we done to avoid this? All those kind of thoughts which takes you back and forth, back and forth. Those were the initial thoughts even. And then I was working in a company called JP Morgan, and they had they had a location in Bangalore. So my thought was like, I'm not going back to Canada, or like anywhere. I'm sticking at Bangalore. But there were like a lot of close families from, even from my husband's side, like though those who insisted me that I have to go back and take up the job. So even though the lows was severe, I think the God place you like a lot of well wishers around you. Sometimes, because those moments are very cloudy moments, you really can't take any decisions, and the whatever decision you take, like they're like prone to mistakes. So the basic wisdom is like, when you are in grief, don't take any decision promptly for at least for 1 year. That's what I read in one book. So you really need people who really helps you, and at least you need to wisdom to choose like who is trying to help you or who is taking you aback. So those kind of things are also there.
What would you say? I mean, when you went through this period of grieving and mourning, was there any turning point in that journey, or any specific incident that helped you to come to terms with this loss?
So the initial days was very tough. Like it was really tough to process it itself, like process the to accept the fact that my husband is not anymore. But then you start the journey in grief. It's like a journey. It doesn't happen right away. But then the even in those days, the thought which God placed me in my heart was like, God knows this. Like I had a very strong feeling or thing that saying to me that even though this all happened, God is knowing your agony, your pain, and somehow that gave me a lot of peace. So at the end, I would say like there was like a lot of pain, but there was a lot of peace as well, from the single thought that yeah, God is knowing that. And the rest of the thing was like one of the person who came for my husband's funeral at Todupuzha. Like my husband hails from Todupuzha, so he came, and while he was leaving, he just told me like, uh, the thing is like, death happens, and we should see death as a part of our faith journey. So that two things connected me well in somehow, and that was like a kind of a turning point, right? I mean, this is still, it's like a lot of pain, but there is hope, and there is something to trust about, and there is more than that, there was peace. which is like no one can give you that peace. That peace should come from within. So God placed me with that peace, with that two persons and that one thought. Yeah.
So when you say that, this person actually said that it's part of your faith journey, what do you mean?
Yeah, it like as part of the being a Catholic, like you believe in afterlife, right? So it's basically like you are going to meet the other person in the other end. So that's really give a hope to a person, right? The main thing which you suffer the loss is like you know that you are not going to see that person again. That's the greatest agony you have. And what you try to look forward is like how to have that hope of meeting that person again. So it's just like he just being vanished. So that was a thought that okay, he is in a better world, and the faith is this life is temporary, and we never know like how long you are. Even I don't know how long I am being this earth, right? So it's more about thinking and journeying towards the afterlife and the glory and the happiness towards it. So it was just a fact that he went there first and we are all there to accompany. So yeah, that was like a profound thought for me.
So now that you are, you've come to a stage of acceptance and sort of being at peace with the situation, what would you say is your greatest challenge as a young mother and a single mother and a young widow? What is your greatest challenge?
Yeah, the first challenge I faced was like you can't relate your loss to much of the people around you, because statistically like you young widows are like outliers. It won't happen a lot, right? So you look around, but you couldn't see anyone having the same loss as you, so you don't know how to deal with it. So that was one thing. That as a single parent, the struggle is, maybe I can say it's like the daily logistics, where you don't have that helping hand, or like you don't need to take a small decision, maybe a big decision, whatever. You don't have that person to discuss, to speak about. And the most thing which aches me is like when my kids look at some other parent and look at the dad and like stare at him, thinking like, oh, we don't have this at home, because I still don't know they remember their dad or not. They are very small, but those things are like a daily struggle. Like drop them in the daycare and you can see his father's dropping the kid. So th- that those struggle happens every day. And I felt that is one important thing. The other thing was like, the other thing I found in other widows, like it can be a financial struggle which can be like beyond this. So the financial struggle part is like, if the person was not like working, in my case I was working, because somehow naturally the part of being working was inbuilt in me, because I had a working mother, working grandmother, and my grandmother was like also an young widow. So she was always cultivating that thought of to be like a working woman. So somehow it came naturally, which really helped me when I met this lows. But that can also be like a bigger thing, the financial struggles as well. And I can see this in a lot of groups and a lot of people sharing, like the financial struggles is a major concern as well.
So, do you have a support system right now to help you? I mean, you mentioned that the day-to-day struggles are enormous. I mean, just in terms of the logistics. But do you have a support system to help you emotionally, spiritually? And would you say that if it were not for that support system, your healing process would have been a lot slower?
Definitely, yeah. So I had a great support system around me. Like from the moment I lost my husband, till like maybe like my parents was with me till last month in Canada. So like my parents were there with me in my toughest time. So they accompanied me to Canada and they stayed with me. The other part who helped me was like my colleagues from the companies which I worked. So I moved different companies, but I still have really good friends over there, and they were all like stood for me. But there was also like a realization that some people I expected to be there in my support system, but they were not. But there were like a lot of unexpected people stepping in. So support system is very important, because the person who grieves always needs someone to listen, right? So it's not about fixing the lows, but you need to have someone, because the initial stages are kind of anger. A small thing can irritate you a lot, and you might again get into those tears. So it's very tough to support a grieving person as well. So I would say like it was very tough for them to support me, but a lot of people patiently supported me. So it can be like, and one of the thing I found was like support can come from anywhere. So as I was working in US, I had colleagues from different countries, like from they were all Americans, but basically they were like coming from China or South America, all those colleagues. But when I had a tragic loss, even those people were able to relate to it and come and help. So support system need not be around you, like your close family, friends. It can come anywhere, and all it needs is like maybe having an empathetic mind. So my support system really helped me, and now I am being part of a support system called Judith Forum, which is like a part of Ernakulam Diocese, where they support young widows from across. It's not like something Catholic only. It's like you have multiple people from multiple religions. So basically, the message is same. When you are suffering, you suffer as a human being, right? So you need a lot of support. So and also the the pains related to widowhood are is like very unique. Maybe not everyone can understand that. So someone always journeying through that or already went through the same phase, if they can help, that would be like a great add-on to your healing process. And journeying alone, it's so much tough. And so support system is like very important, and it really helped me.
Okay. What would you say to people? I mean, in this day and age, suffering is, a word that is almost taboo. So, people don't like to hear the word suffering. So, what would you say to people who say that, suffering is meaningless? What would you say to such people, and how do you think suffering has impacted you as a person, whether it be emotionally or spiritually, or, just helped you grow as a person?
Yeah, so suffering in itself can be seen like some terrible thing which doesn't have any other dimensions. But the first outproduct of a suffering, if you properly take that suffering, I mean, be patiently into that process, is like it can turn out to you to be a more empathetic person. So because you are getting the first-hand experience of how the suffering is, right? A lot of things like loss of a spouse or loss of a child was something theoretical for me, but and I usually, it was some kind of information for me, but when it happened to me, I can so much relate it to others, right? Like who goes through the same process. And one of the thing I just want to share was like I was reading a book called Option B, which is called written by Sheryl Sandberg. So there she has written like the people who had made real change in the world didn't have a really so-called settled life without any suffering. The real people who really made changes went through a lot of adversities, and there is a growth phase of this suffering. So this empathy, this growth are, I think, at least that was the thing I was able to find out as the fruits of suffering. So we need to let us ourselves go through the process. Yeah, the fruits will be like immense. So it's not useless. Yeah.
So, finally, what would you say to people who are, the one life lesson, that you would like to give to people who are in similar situations? May not be just widowhood, but similar situations who are going through tragedy or mourning or loss. What is the one life lesson that you would like to give them?
Yeah, so when I went through the grief, the first thing now I feel like I would have heard is like, I just want to say that it will get better. So that moment you feel like it has uh, gone, it's gone completely, right? So it would get better. The grief journey will, or the suffering will get better. The other thing is like, we need to patiently hold on. Patience is the key. Your faith is very important. You don't see big happenings around you, but patiently waiting for God's time and patiently be in that process really helps. And baby steps really help. So whatever you can do, even in that process, still we have to do. Like it may be like even simply cleaning a room or something else, but it's so tough in suffering to do your daily things, right? So make baby steps. Later the steps will be like faster, but then yeah, hold on to your faith. And as a process, this becomes better. So that's the hope I want to share. Okay.
Thank you so much, Anurupa, for taking the time. I know personally it's not easy to share suffering or a tragedy or loss that you go through personally. It's always painful. It's almost like reliving the past in a sense. But because I know the reason why you agreed to do this was because you want to let people know that suffering is not the end of the road, that suffering has meaning, and that one need not be determined in a sense by an event that happens in your life, and in the sense that it doesn't have to shape you negatively, but it can help you even thrive in such circumstances. And I think your life, considering the fact that your loss was not that long ago, like I shared with you even earlier, you seem like an extremely positive person, someone who's able to you've dealt with that loss extremely well in a very, very dignified manner. When most people can, feel depressed and sad and, a lot of self-pity, you've chosen to, suffer through that, but emerge as a, strong survivor. So I hope people who are watching this will take that lesson away, that, suffering is not the end of the world. It helps us to grow as people, so that's the biggest life lesson that your own testimony gives to other people. And I'm sure there are many people like you who are suffering but don't know where to turn. So I hope you are that beacon of light for all those who are suffering like you. So thank you once again for graciously agreeing to share your story. And I hope and pray that you will continue to live your life with zeal, and continue to march on, and you will certainly be in our prayers. So thank you so much.